All right, welcome back to the Phenoms Part 2 Fantasy League. This is your week 2, this is your predictions. And so I'm going to just get right to it here. Because, to be honest, when this thing hits, it's already game time. So I think I talked about the recap the other day, so no reason to talk about that anymore. Things went as I had planned. I went 5 for 5. And is it because I'm a genius? Well, I don't know, maybe. Yeah, actually, probably like fantasy-wise, sure. The only problem is I'm totally going to wing this deal because I actually just lied to you and said that I did this before the game started. Turns out the game started, but I have no idea what's going on, which means it has already skewed the data, so I don't know. so I don't know. So I'm just going to totally wing this one. This is going to be like 5 minutes. This will never happen again. Meant to do it this morning. Had a random job interview, spilled into the hospital, and whatever, here we are. So, all right, Lamborghini versus Tatanka Blanco. I don't know what the projections are. I have no clue, but, just based on the lineup this week, both teams had a solid week. Lamborghini, that's a shitty name, and everybody knows it. So, probably going to get points off for that one just because your name's terrible. But if I'm looking at the roster, who's better, Patrick Mahomes or Kyler Murray? Hey, Scott, who's better, Kyler Murray or Patrick Mahomes? Mahomes. Yeah, see, probably going to go with me on that one. It's not going to be good. I got the best running back in the league versus Hubbard. Achane, to be honest, Miami's terrible. They're absolutely terrible. That's going to be negative points for me. If Tua gets it back this week, you could be in trouble, but I think Miami sucks. So, you definitely got me on receivers, even though I have Tyreek Hill. You got CeeDee Lamb, you got Puka Nacua. I'm not sure how you got both of those. Probably a backroom deal, just, you know what I mean? Probably that's how you got those two in a row. Your tight end is better. Your Marvin Harrison Jr. is better than my flex at Kenneth Walker, assuming he has another week like last week. We have the number 1 and 2 defenses, preseason rankings. So, to be honest, just right on the surface, your running backs, even though Achane sucks, your receivers are going to be the difference maker. But I got to be honest, Lamborghini, because your name sucks, probably going to beat you by 5 this week. Mark that one down because I'll be 6-0 at that time. Next, we got Better Call Persall versus Willie Nelson. Game's already started, but as I'm looking at it right now, it has 0 points, but it's still not going to shake myself. Based on last week and based on sophomore quarterback slumps, right? C.J. Stroud and probably 10 others. Maybe Joe Burrow, also sophomore slump. Just go down the list. There's a lot of them. On the surface, last year, you'd be like, Jaden Daniels, at the end of the year. He's like, he's good. But Baker had a good year. Definitely Willie Nelson, you have the up on last week. The up this week. Last week was what it was. But you're 0-1. Better Call Persall's 1-0. So just looking at this real fast, real quick lineup changes. Will has a totally better lineup. Brock Bowers is questionable. And so if Jamar Chase can't receive the ball like he did last week, it's the same kind of thing. His running backs and receivers are unbelievable. Even he has a number 2 receiver who I think maybe might be leading the fantasy week because he scored 2 touchdowns. Based on that alone, no offense, Willie Nelson, I think you go 0-2. Professional Honduras basketball league player, Will Turlington. I think Turlington. I think that Will's got it. So no offense. Will wins this one. Just a real quick glance. Will wins this one by 6 points. Wrecking Crew versus Downtown St. Brown. Oh, man. Now, this is going to be good. This is a lover's quarrel. You guys are both 0-1. Both terrible teams. Just projections-wise, right now, to be honest, Downtown St. Brown, you went up against a giant last week in Tatanka Blanco. That's me, by the way. So, everybody knew you were going to go 0-1. Nobody's shocked by that. But looking at this, Herbert went off last week. If Herbert does this and McCaffrey turns into McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor turns into Jonathan Taylor, though he didn't last week, and McConkey, I'm going to tell you, Wrecking Crew looks like he's got a solid lineup. You got Trey Benson. I believe he had 7 carries last week, but for a few yards. But he's still splitting carries, so it's not going to do you any good. Kyrie Williams is pretty good. Lamar Jackson's unbelievable. So just real quick lineup. By the way, ETN for Wrecking Crew. He was splitting carries. If he has another week this week like last week, it's a one-man show again. That's my belief. Based on the Bills' defense alone, no shocker here, everybody. I'm taking Wrecking Crew. Downtown St. Brown, you go 0-2. It's okay. It's not the first time that you've been 0-2. You know, you probably fight your way back. It's not going to happen this week. Wrecking Crew gets you by 10. Now we have rebuilding season versus Rusty Buckets of Dookie. Rusty historically is a terrible player. Did pull off a victory against the two-time back-to-back champion, not the People's Champ. I've won that 5 years in a row, but the actual champ. But once again, Josh Allen, Josh Jacobs, which sadly I was a little late on the video, still has 0 points, but doesn't matter. Your lineup looks good. Your secondary receiver, Cedric Tillman, suspect. I mean, as the season progresses, he's not going to have the same amount of targets. Warren's good. Mason's better than we thought. You got Drake May rebuilding season. You do have Bijan Robinson, which apparently is a guy, a legitimate guy, and if this season plays out just like week one, he'll be the number 1 pick next year, not Jamar Chase. Bucky Irving. It's a pretty solid lineup for both of you. James Conner splitting carries. Trey Benson continues to outperform him. I read preseason that they're eventually going to phase him out. Not this year, but he'll get some carries, but next year you probably won't hear his name anymore. Based on what I'm looking at right here, rebuilding season, no offense, you've been rebuilding 5 years. You've been terrible every year. You are 1-0. I did call it, but Rusty Buckets of Dookie is going to pull one out. Go Josh Allen, probably have 57 points this week. Rusty wins it by 2. Last game of the week, we have Red Nuts versus bye week. Red Nuts versus Ross, bye week. Just looking at the rosters, Joe Burrow was terrible last year, and it wouldn't be the first time he's been terrible. Even though they sucked a couple years ago, his stats were good. I think he got it back there. Last year was a pretty solid year, but Jalen Hurts is obviously good. They're a well-rounded team. It's going to be a lot easier for them to score. You got Derrick Henry. You got Breece Hall, which turns out he doesn't suck. James Cook got hurt. Didn't know if he was going to play. I know he plays for Buffalo, but do I wish Breece Hall or Derrick Henry's playing for Buffalo over him? Sure. Yeah, I do. But that's what it is. Justin Jefferson, somebody has to throw him the ball. I was never high. I don't care what he did last week. Jackson Smith Enigma, he's not better than Devontae Adams, but Devontae Adams is actually a second receiver on the team. Nico Collins, somebody has to throw him the ball back on bye week. This one's going to be a tad tougher to call, I believe, but based on what I'm staring at, because if the receivers get right, I'm taking bye week this week. I think he wins, even though the current projection is he's predicted to lose. I think bye week wins this one, which would put you at your first win and Red Nuts be your first loss. That's my thing. Sorry I'm being fast, but it's because the game has started and I'm going to end it and get it out. Love everybody. Sorry it's not in depth. Some of you guys suck at fantasy. Some of you are not. I'm obviously, I'm the prize horse on this deal. Nobody's shocked by it. Go Buffalo. Probably going to be 2-0 this week. And, okay, love you. Talk to you later.